based on social network analysis. Why we are doing this? Because we know in this world there are so many people that are connected to one or the other, and quite often they are related. So my talk is going to firstly on the literature review, secondly on the network analysis, and followed by conclusion. So literature review, I'm going to talk about the data analytics and crime governance, and then I'm going to talk about the social network analysis, which then has two aspects of that. It's called centrality analysis and community. And then if I explain further, you will then know what they mean. So first of all, data analytics and crime governance. Why do we need to do that? Because now with big data, we then can have a better chances and access to all different individuals. Because in the past, there are a lot of crimes that has never been resolved for more than 20 years, 30 years. As a result, the murderer can escape, or even worst of all, the police got the wrong person and got into a prison, and then the person in the prison, spent so many years in their life. So some time ago, the prisoner who spent about 70 years in jail has been released in America. So they got the wrong person, and they got lots of fine, as a compensation from the government. But now with big data analytics, what we can do is that, first of all, it comes hand in hand, crime governance with a crime detection, response, trend analysis, and identification. One way or the other, because when I do not know whether you know forensic enough, or you have any relatives or friend working as a police investigator. So anything needs to have evidence, but however, it can come in any particular order. It's not necessarily from identification. Sometimes you have no clue who are the criminals, but you may have something on the incident. Then you go one or the other. And sometimes you may have to be in loops. So as a result, those people working as a police investigator, what they do is that, first of all, they got a criminal response from the scene, from the report, from the victims, then to the data collection, then to the analysis in terms of the data combination, and then they collect all different forensic and all the different sources, then predict who are the likelihood, and then they can also analyze who are the suspect, and then based on the behavior, because certain suspects have certain behavior that can be tracked, and they can also be analyzed through big data. So then going further in loops, the police may also look into involvement and assessment and several times, and then they also have some mimic on, if let's say you are the criminal, it's like, the criminal, they also have some drama, to play, or what a criminal will do, and then they do this on ongoing basis. And then together with AI, with naive Bayesian, K-means clustering, crime mapping algorithm, AI, new network, and new services. Actually, I also watch some movie from Hong Kong. Those scenes are real. It's like police actually spend a lot of time understanding what happened. But then now there's a thing called social network. Social network analysis help us. First of all, it then is a study on humans, how we are related to one or the other, who are related to whom by what, and you are related to another person because of any events or any incident. Therefore, you can then backtrack. And quite often there is a tendency for some people with organized crimes. They are usually in groups, and organized crimes, they also have some local gangs. And there are also some gangs being organized at the national level. So first of all, what the police do is that they study all the nodes. So a node can be an individual, or it's a smaller cluster of criminals. So then the egocentric network analysis concentrate on the network around one node. So it's, let's say, they think there's a suspect there. B. Then instead of going to B, what the police do is that they look at the surrounding. Then they then check, let's say there are three sources, are they related to that? And there are also some criminals that are related to two different gangs. So then the police will have to study two different gangs, and then to study whether are they on the right track, or the evidences, do they match? It's like the evidence they have collected on the crime scene or from other witnesses, they have to be matched from one or the other. At the same time, some criminals, they are mobile. They can move to one place to another, one province to another, or maybe one city to a city which is very far away. They also do the cross-checking with the consistency with the social network. And that is why the social network itself is dynamic. And even people, they can pretend they don't know each other. But because, if there's one link is broken, which means that the suspect are lying, then the police can also find from the surrounding links, whether, if there are 4 or 5 links indicating the same one, although one link is broken, they can also make the suspect into even the prime suspect list. So there are some theory there in terms of social networks. So centrality measure, why? It's like, what centrality measure is like, you are closing the gap now. And you're thinking like, okay, that can be a suspect, and that's why you're closing all the possibilities. But at the same time, before we do this, what do we do? The central degree centrality to present a number of nodes. You then get closer, a high degree centrality to understand the more powerful, because there are some powerful, I don't know, have you watched some Hollywood movie? There are some, the criminal gang, there's a master, and then like you are connected to the master. It means that the police know. Oh yeah, there's evidence, a strong evidence. Yeah, and then between the centrality, it evaluates the degree of specified nodes. So there's some specified node. If let's say it's not connected to the big master, however, this specified node is the manufacturer of drugs. Yeah, then the police also pay attention to that, because they want to get the shortest path to get the evidence and get all his networks. And then the high centrality is between the centrality means the node acts as a gatekeeper, because he or she can control the information. There can be some gatekeeper to ensure that the certain information has not been leaked. So then the closeness centrality is used to evaluate the global centrality of the nodes. Then measuring the distance between, because there can be some nodes which are far apart, but they are some more closely related. So there is a tendency that the criminal may be getting close to their central local network before they go to the next distant network. So this is usually what people do. They focus more, and then they actually pay more attention for the police, especially with the centrality that indicate the nodes. They can get the most information out of it. So what does it mean, a clique? A clique is a subset of network. It means that among these gangs, there can be smaller gangs, or maybe they are smaller teams. They are usually criminals. In theory, we are talking about the organized crime. Usually, it's not by individuals, but smaller teams or bigger teams of criminals. And then you focus on the smaller team. It's called clique, and it's always maximum. Why? Because usually, so for some organized crimes, related to financial criminology and financial crime, normally a team of between 2 to 5 people might be the best according to the big data, because they can usually, what organized crime do is that they don't actually go in the big gangs, because you will get attention very easily, and then there are study with the first, second, third core. So there's a bigger gangs, and there's a smaller one, and then the central criminal activities focus on the 3 core. The smaller teams, usually the smaller team that is doing a lot of work. So then, do you know what we do is that we understand how criminals are organized. Therefore, our social network has been designed and then deployed the way, rather than the other way around. So the rule for the K-core composition is that the vertex of a node is removed. The edges are connected, which means that we are now, okay, these are not related, then we are only focused on the related ones. And then we go do another round, and then another round, until the police is more certain that there are, these are the likely people who are the team to commit the financial crimes, things like that. All right, so this, I hope my talk is not fast. I'm aware of the time. So the network analysis is, SNA-based victim and suspect, because there are 2 things: victims, suspect. All right, so victims, there are 2 possible trends. But before we do that, because this kind of data set is very hard to get, we managed to get a data set from a group of researchers, but then very soon that they disclose it. So we are very lucky to get the data set before the group of researchers didn't make it public now. So they are 870 participants. They are the real crime scenes, including 569 victims. And there has the 682 suspects and 195 witnesses. Yeah, so it's involved a lot of work, in a lot of records. Even all the suspect and witnesses has been interviewed. But for the scientists, from data science point of view, we are only trying to find any correlation between all the evidences we have and all the things they have said. Then the sex data or the gender data set recorded. Then we also have our own, because we have sometimes have cross-check, because sometimes actually quite often criminal they lie. So you don't know who said the right thing. So usually what police do is that you have a separate interviews. For instance, you don't let those criminals to be together. You try to separate them out. You even isolate them for days so that they don't cross talk, talking to each other to make the same lies. Then after that, you have to have some algorithms or some logic. You have to, it's like the person say one thing is true, but three other things are not true. So in a way, it's more likely to be lies. However, there's nothing for algorithm can detect 100% correction. So what we do is that we use RStudio, SNA, and also other tools to help us to know. So what we do is that we try to build up the relation between the suspect and the victims. So victim and what happened to the victim, and those victims who they are related. And then the other study is on just a suspect. So there are also two other phenomena for the victim. So the first one is called the one mode. What does it mean? It means that the suspect killed or makes some events to make the victim to pass away. So whether this is a very strict or indirect murder, often what they are related is that there are few people involved. There are not a lot of people, it can be just a few. Then in the larger scene is like there are several, and maybe even the same team or same small gang of criminal kills several people. It's like there's a serial killers. But however, there are also some other events that this individual killer that kills several victims. There are also possibility for that. There's only one killer to kill several at different time scale. But in our data set and in our research, we focus slightly more on the cases that there's a smaller team that committed crimes. So this diagram shows that each smaller clique or smaller cluster means this is a victim 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you may notice that, wow, it involves a lot of people. So this must be some kind of rich and powerful people, because you cannot easily done. So what you also notice there's a similarity. What criminal do is that they kill those related people, right? Not before you kill the big boss. And this is usually what those criminals do. You kill all the related people out, and then the big boss being isolated. After that, the criminals then kill the big boss, and then they study the people who are related in a way. Then there's also another thing. The victims seem to be very random. It's like, the big ones are the killer or the suspect, and then you just kill several people. They don't seem to talk to each other, which means that they don't know each other. But however, there's some exception. Maybe these two killers, they know each other, the killer A and B, and then you see they kill a lot of people, isn't it? It's like when you study this kind of thing, you notice that there is more common. It's like those smaller gangs or or even individuals, they target on certain people and no reason, or maybe there are some other reasons, then they kill in such an order. Then the next thing is that we can do a research because each country and each continent has a different law. For Europe, I think you can't just release the prisoner's name. But however, in the USA, they don't really have this kind of thing. It's like, okay, you made a crime. So Americans believe that your names should be put under the sunlight. Otherwise, people think, you are a victim. They will try to get away from it. So this is the American way of, they just put everything there. So you analyze, oh, you know, this is a criminal. Oh, these are the victim. Or the next time when the person comes out of prison, and you know, people keep a distance from the person. But then in this case, we use this as a victim. We use the reverse logic. It's like, oh, you can do this for suspect, but at the same time we can do this for victim. Then we study before the victim pass away, who are the people who got connected to, so that you then can do the reverse tracing to know, oh, if this related to somebody, and then one of them may be the killer or the suspect, right? So you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you do the reverse order, then you do reverse engineering, then you can then find the suspect probably more efficiently. Therefore, the mental health, sometimes some people, they why is like, why you don't understand people in financial crime got this? Because, you know, what they do is that, first of all, they have been involved with a lot of, I would say this is gambling, because when you involve with millions of US dollars for stock market or for some other investment, and then you lost a lot of money all of a sudden, you know, and they're under the massive pressure, then they will kill the person they thought that they had become the victim of. So the victim became the suspect and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? It's like, person A felt being cheated by person B for losing so much money. And then there's a motivation for him to become a suspect, to kill the person or make the person in a bad mood. And there's also a possibility there is involved with money laundering or drug activity, especially in North America, you know, the border between the Mexico and US, because of a lot of crime. And then especially US, you can just buy the guns now. You can just go to a shop. I want to buy a gun. You know, you can just buy a gun like that, right? So there are a lot of criminal activities there involved with guns, involved with drug dealing, and involved with even human trafficking. So there is a lot of criminology studied. But at the same time, you can also look at the network analysis, because like sometimes the criminal scenes are more like this. It's like there are very smaller ones involved with smaller number of people, but scattered all around. So if, let's say you are the police in the border of Mexico, you know, this is more common. Is that you see a lot of smaller crimes that are happening on daily basis. Like people just for no reason they put a gun. Give me your money. No money, they just shoot you. You know, this kind of thing is very common there. But also, let's go back to computer science, because we are computer scientists. You know, it's just that our work might be helping those police and investigations. So what we do is that we can cluster them with different criminal activities into different colors. So these different colors represent different groups of criminal activity. Oh, these are the criminal activities. But at the same time, we can use these to study the victim activity. But because, you know, because victim already happened, they already passed away. So for police, what they are more interested to know is they want to know who are the suspect, and then they can, in the hope to backtrace the suspect and then get into them into prosecution. So what this does is that this diagram is the K called decomposition algorithm. So we have an algorithm. So once we run the algorithm, we can then show different types of criminal or suspect groups. So they know, oh, they are there. Oh, who are related to what? Oh, they are in this city. Oh, they are in these provinces. Oh, they are related to another gang. And then you usually, if let's say between these two gangs, right? And then, oh, if we as a police, we crack into this one, and then we can do two at the same time. You know, this makes police more efficient, because it's like, I don't know how much you know about this kind of thing. It's like, if you're a police, you can be, you know, you have no head. It's like, oh, maybe you have no clue who to get a focus, because you don't know who are the crimes, who made the crimes, who are the suspects. So you have to focus on the possible networks that can link to different criminal gangs. So these K values are very important, because K values will tell you, it's just like, it's a value to tell you, okay, this is right or not. It's just like, before we make more analysis, we need to have some more K values. We have to ensure that. Otherwise, people say, why you have no evidence? You know, usually those criminals and suspects say, oh, you have no evidence. Oh, I will call my lawyer. You know, so before you do any actions, you need to have the right values. So to play safe, usually they at least they do this. They must have 12 suspects at least. Otherwise, the police cannot do any actions right? So it's like, oh, you can, police just go into your house. You are suspect. You have no evidence, and then people can sue you for offensive manner. So at the same time, you can do this Bradford as an example as a criminal activity, and then they are also suspect. So sometimes we also do the case study. The K value is very low, but it doesn't mean anything. Do you know why? Because they are very good. They are organized crime. They know how to perform money laundering without being caught, and police have no evidence, right? So there are some other ways that, even though truth might be the better values, however, in real life, some of these criminals are so good, especially these days, especially with cyber criminal. They're so smart, and it's very hard to get any evidence. So this is just one example that the police know there's something wrong there, but they don't have the evidence. So they need to have a better, sophisticated IT, which may involve with big data, AI, IoT, to understand, and even now facial recognition. But there is a problem with privacy. In Europe, to take people's face, that's probably not allowed. But in Far East, such as China, that's quite common. Then now, contribution, because we are computer scientists, we don't want to get too much into the forensic side of it. So I have to ensure that our contribution is on the computer science. One more SN and the by party. So what does it mean? It means that it allows us, an algorithm can do something like this. So we then can know it within seconds. Oh, these are the criminology, and then we can pay more attention to it. Oh, then maybe we want to pay more attention between those different gangs. Oh, maybe there are some gangs. Okay, so I may have to try to finish. Then, on the other hand, achievements are available for law enforcement agencies. So at least it gives those agencies some idea how to do this, and we can monitor and detect a crime in the faster phase. It needs to be faster and more efficient. So just to conclude, on one hand, the network connected by suspect for criminal gangs, there is a network structure among the internal members of criminal organization. On the other hand, the prevent or reduce cases caused by criminal gangs is also important for the first combat of the source and carry out the full chain strike. So what does it mean? We need to know a full chain, and they are stabilized, and there are evidences, or through a long observation, then they can strike into the upstream, midstream, and lowstream. So the police usually want to get caught. So usually they are all connected. Even you can be very good not to be get caught, but over a period of time, through some evidence collection, then it's possible. So in short, centrality of suspect is crucial indicator. So it gives idea how the police should go about it, so they know who are the suspects. Also, they also look at the two advanced methods of SNA, and then they can understand the criminal gangs and the activities they do, so that there are some other compelling proof to recognize the targeted criminology. So there's this list of references. So this is the work of my student who left years ago. I still remember. All right. So you have any question to